Episode 66 of the Monday Morning Worship Leader. Dare to be different.
Praise God from whom all blessings flow. Praise Him, all creatures give us glory. Praise Him above, praise heavenly hosts. Praise Father, Son, and Holy Ghost.
Well, good morning, guys. It's good to be here with you. I'm assuming you're listening in the morning. It's the Monday Morning Worship Leader Podcast. I'm John Francis, and I am your host for this podcast. I am a worship leader, probably just like you. I lead worship in a Southern Baptist church in St. Louis, Missouri. And I really enjoy what I do, and I enjoy spending time with you. And I want to greet some new listeners. We've been having some downloads the past couple of weeks from the country of India, and so thankful to see that we're getting downloads there. We're getting downloads from all around the world and all across the country, and I'm so thankful for it. And I just pray that this can be inspirational for you. If anything else, speaking of inspiration, I hope you enjoyed last week's podcast. It was a rebroadcast, a recast, if you will, of the very first Monday Morning Worship Leader. And the reason I did that is because the theme was about Vacation Bible School. And those of you who are not in the United States, Vacation Bible School is a United States thing, though it has been taken place in many different countries. And it basically is a week where you bring kids in and you have a Bible school, and you have activities, you have study, and it's a lot of fun and very enjoyable for the adults as well as the children. And so that was kind of 5 reasons why you should do Vacation Bible School in your worship ministry. And so I hope you'll listen to that. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope it was something a little bit different. Well, today, speaking of being different, I want to talk to you about a very, I don't think it's a controversial topic, but it is a topic that really isn't addressed too often in American church work anyway. We have so many models to choose from. Those churches who are not necessarily the most liturgical. Instead, they follow a free worship tradition, like Baptist, Methodist to a certain extent. Sometimes Presbyterians do. Definitely the Pentecostal movement does follow a free worship viewpoint. And I do talk about form. I talk about the importance of form even in free worship, but that's not even what I'm talking about. What I'm talking about is in free worship, we tend to, even though we're free, we tend to try to model ourselves after someone else. And in fact, what has really become, I think, the norm in the past 15, 20 years in worship, and I say this lovingly, has kind of become the Mick Church. The Mick Church feel is one of those where you come into a church, you get a coffee, you come and you sit into the sanctuary, you have the same instrumentation on the platform. It's the praise team, it's a guitar, it's a bass, it's a drums, it's a keyboard. You're going to do some songs. I won't say the same songs. We're going to do some songs. Then you're going to have a pastor whose shirt is untucked and who doesn't speak from a rostrum, who, sits on a stool and he talks and that sort of thing. And I mean, if the gospel is being preached and God is being worshiped and it's true gospel, that's fine. That's fine with me. I'm not really slamming that. But what I want to emphasize to you, and I want to emphasize it not only to the worship leader, but to the pastor, is I believe that every church is made differently. Every church has its own DNA, and I simply want to dare you to be different. I want to dare you to not only be different from the Mick Church that I'm talking about, be different from me. If you hear me talking about things, you certainly don't have to go, oh, I need to do this in my... I mean, if you learn something, we all learn from each other. That's wonderful. But don't try to be something you're not. Just last Sunday morning, we had worship, and I was walking off of the platform, and I saw a new couple sitting very close to the front. And I went and introduced myself, and the young lady looked to be in her late 20s, maybe early 30s, was effervescent. And she said, "You know what? We have looked and looked and looked for a church that sings hymns and that has an orchestra and that has a choir. And we just have not been able to find one anywhere." And I said, it's a structure that we identify with. It's part of our DNA. It's who we are. We don't apologize for it. We just simply want to have church together. And she was like, "I'll be back, da-da-da-da." And that's great. And I'm not saying this as a church growth thing. I'm just saying your worship ministry needs to be comfortable in its own skin. And I fear that there are many that are not worshiping in the comfort of who they are. And so, it's one of those things that unfortunately churches all try to look alike. And what that does is that gives the American Christian anyway a lack of diversity that probably is needed. Now, I could go on, and I have pretty strong philosophical feelings about all of this and about the style and the form, but in the sake of this conversation and in this argument, it isn't about style and form. It's all about your uniqueness. And I want to encourage you to dare to be different in your ministry. Dare to do something that, as long as it stays with Scripture and as long as it fits in your milieu, dare to be different in your approach. I've said it before. If you have 10 accordion players in your church, then why are you looking for a guitarist? If your church happens to have like a whole bunch of organists or pianists, then use them. Utilize the arts, utilize the abilities that God has given your unique situation, and don't veer from it. Just appreciate what God is doing, and you be you and foster that, and realize that God has brought you there for a purpose. Well, this has kind of been a cheerleading thing, and it hasn't been like 5 things that you need to do, or it hasn't been deeply theological, but I feel that this is something that sometimes people just need to hear, that you need to simply be you. You need to decide that it's okay to be a different church. It's okay to have a different style of worship, as long as it adheres to scriptural value. That's the only thing. And so I do hope that you find those to be good words. So today's good word, I was asked the other day to have some works on early Christianity. And I recommended some books. I recommended a book that has been highly recommended to me that I haven't even read yet. And so I've ordered it. I'm going to read it, and I'll tell you about it in a couple of weeks and tell you if I like it or not. But here's one that I told him that you'll find just about anywhere. You can find it free usually. You can find it free on Kindle and that sort of thing because it's well into the public domain. It is the Didache. And let me spell that for you. The Didache, Didache. And it is the teachings of the disciples. Basically, while the disciples didn't write the Didache, it is kind of attributed to their teaching. And what we see is really, it's a very short, you can read it in one sitting. It's a very short manifest of the structure and the concerns of the early church. It is just a great read. You need to read it because it really kind of makes you think about where we've come from. And it also just points out the important things. It's the Didache. You can find it anywhere. Just look for it. Google it. There are PDFs of it out there, and you can find it. So that being the case, that ends another podcast here of the Monday Morning Worship Leader. Remember, my friends, we are not rock stars. We are servants. God bless you. So I became the worship leader at Parkway Baptist Church right before COVID. I want to tell you all about it.
Next time on the podcast.